In this lesson, we're going to take what we know about interpreting word problems and what we've learned about inequalities and systems of inequalities to solve word problems. Number 1, suppose you buy flour and cornmeal in bulk to make flour tortillas and corn tortillas. Flour costs $1.50 per pound and cornmeal costs $2.50 per pound. You want to spend less than $25 on flour and cornmeal, but you need at least 6 pounds altogether. So when we interpret this problem, we can see that our two topics are flour and cornmeal. So we can write two let statements. So we can say let X equal and let Y equal. And we're going to let X equal our flour and Y equal our cornmeal. Then we can use the rest of the problem to write our two inequalities. Our first sentence, or our second sentence, says that flour costs $1.50 per pound and cornmeal $2.50, and you want to spend less than $25. So this we can put together as an inequality that says $1.50 X, because X is our flour, and that's how much a pound of flour cost, plus $2.50 Y is less than or equal to 25, because you want to spend less than $25. You can spend 25 or anything less than that. So the total cost, so how much flour and cornmeal added together, because it was total, needs to be less than or equal to 25. The next part, you need at least 6 pounds altogether. That will write our second inequality. So the number of pounds of flour plus cornmeal, X plus Y, needs to be at least 6 pounds. So that means it needs to be 6 pounds or greater. So the number of cornmeal and flour is greater than or equal to 6. Once you have these written, then you can graph them and determine some possibilities. So in order to graph them, they need to be in the form y equals mx plus b, and in both cases, these both need to be rewritten. So when we rewrite the first one, come over here where I have a little more room. We're going to bring the x term over. So that would give us 2.5y is less than or equal to negative 1.5x plus 25. Because remember, when it comes over, it becomes negative. Then we divide everything by the 2.5. Now, when you divide by 2.5, you're going to get y is less than or equal to, because I didn't divide by a negative. When you do negative 1.5 divided by 2.5, we're tempted to write that as a decimal because our division problem is as a decimal. But remember, we're going to have to graph this. So we're going to want this as a fraction. So negative divided by a positive is a negative. And 1.5 divided by 2.5, if you put that in your calculator, you get 3/5. And again, we want it as a fraction so that we can graph it. So 3/5 x plus 25 divided by 2.5 is 10. So this is going to be the first inequality that we're going to graph in a minute. Then we need to rewrite the second one, x plus y is greater than or equal to 6. So to rewrite this one, you just have to bring your x term over. So it would be y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 6. Remember, that inequality symbol only changes if you are dividing by a negative, and we didn't have to divide at all in this one. So the two inequalities that are highlighted are going to be the two inequalities that we're going to graph. So when we take a look at our graph on the side, our x-axis represents our flour, because remember, in the very beginning we said let x equal flour, and the y-axis is going to be our cornmeal for the same reason. and then we're going to graph it. So I'm going to start by graphing my first equation, y is less than or equal to negative 3/5 x plus 10. So our y-intercept is 10, so we're going to count up 10 on our y-axis. And then from that point, we're going to use our slope to find 2 more points on this line. So our slope is negative 3/5, which means we're going to go down 3 and right 5. So if we go down 3, right 5, we'll end up here, and we can do that one more time. Down 3, right 5, here. And remember, this is an inequality, so we need to check to see if we have a solid or a dotted line. Because we have the equals to, it's going to be a solid line. So we're going to connect these going all the way through the graph with a solid line. And then we need to shade. Y is less than, so that's going to be shaded below the line, which would be down here. And then our second line, y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 6. We have our y-intercept at 6, so on our y-axis we're going to go up to 6. And then from that point, we're going to use our slope to get 2 more points. So our slope in this one is negative 1. So that's negative 1 over 1, which means we're going to go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And we have equals to in our inequality symbol, so that's going to be another solid line all the way through the graph. And then it says y is greater than, so that means we're going to shade above the line. So remember, our solution is where these two shaded areas meet. So on my paper, where the orange and the yellow meet. So our solution is going to be this area here in the middle. So all of those ordered pairs in the middle are possible solutions to our question of how much flour and how much cornmeal you can buy. So for these problems, you can get more than one answer. You might get a different answer than the person beside you, or you might get a different answer than me. But as long as that ordered pair is within that shaded region, it is a correct answer. So for this one, we could say that we could have 6 pounds of flour and 2 pounds of cornmeal. And we can say that because this would be the ordered pair 6, 2, because X is our flour and Y is our cornmeal. And if I look at my graph, if I go over to 6 and up to 2, that point is right here, which is in the shaded region where they both meet. I could also say the ordered pair 8, or I could say 8 pounds of flour and 4 pounds of cornmeal. Because again, this would be the ordered pair 8, 4. And on the graph, if I go over to 8 and up 4, I would be here, which is again within that shaded region combined. So again, you can get several different answers, but as long as it's within that shared shaded region, it's going to be a correct answer. Go ahead on this page, highlight number 2 and 3. And then on your next page, let's look at number 4. So number 4 says that Mary knits scarves and sweaters to sell. Scarves take 2 hours to knit and sweaters take 10 hours. Mary would like to spend no more than 40 hours per week knitting and knit at least 5 items per week. So in this problem, our topic is scarves and sweaters. So we're going to let X equal our scarves and let Y equal our sweaters. And we're going to use the rest of the problem to write our inequalities. So our first or our second sentence says that scarves take 2 hours and sweaters take 10 hours. And she wants to spend no more than 40 hours per week. So we can use those three pieces to write our first inequality. So since we said that scarves was X, that would be 2X, plus our sweaters is Y, so 10Y. And she wants to spend no more than 40 hours a week. So she's okay spending 40 hours or anything less than that. So it would be less than or equal to 40. And then the next part is she wants to knit at least 5 items per week. So her sweaters plus her scarves, X plus Y, needs to be at least 5. So it's okay if it's 5, but she wants it to be 5 or bigger, or 5 or greater than or equal to 5. So then again in this one, we're going to have to rewrite both of our equations. When we rewrite the first one, we're going to bring our X term over. So that would give us 10Y is less than or equal to negative 2X plus 40. Remembering that inequality symbol would not change because we didn't divide by a negative. And when you bring the 2X over, it becomes the opposite. So it became a negative. And then we're going to divide everything by 10. So that would be Y is less than or equal to negative 1/5 X plus 4. And in a minute, that's going to be one of the inequalities we're going to graph. We need to rewrite the second one. So to rewrite that one, we just have to bring our X term over. So that would be Y is greater than or equal to negative X plus 5. Because we didn't divide by a negative, that inequality symbol does not change. So this will be the second one we're going to graph. So going back to the first one, so to graph that, our y-intercept is 4. So on our y-axis, we're going to go up 4. And then we're going to use our slope of that negative 1/5. So remember, slope of negative 1/5 means we're going to go down 1, right 5. So down 1, right 5 would give us this second point, and down 1, right 5 gives us this one. And then before we draw the line, we need to know the inequality symbol. It does have the equals to, so it will be solid. And then it is less than, so what that means is we're going to be shading below the line. So down here. And then our second inequality, y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 5. We have a y-intercept of a positive 5, which would be here on our y-axis. And our slope here is negative 1. So that's negative 1 over 1, which means we're going to go down 1 and right 1. Because remember, that's rise over run. So from our y-intercept, we're going to go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And I'm going to do one more, down 1, right 1. And it does have the equals to, so it's a solid line. And it says y is greater than, so that means we're going to be shading above the line. So everything up here. And our solution set is going to be where these two areas meet, which would be in this region. So any ordered pair within that region is going to make it true. So one possible solution would be she could do 3 scarves and 3 sweaters. And that would be the ordered pair 3, 3. And if I look at that ordered pair, 3, 3 is here, right, just barely in between my shaded regions. I could also have 10 scarves and 1 sweater. And that would be the ordered pair 10, 1, which would be, if I count over 10, and then up 1, it'd be right there. So still within that shaded region where they meet. So go ahead and highlight on this page, highlight number 5 and highlight number 6. And I want you to notice on number 6, number 5 is just like the other one, asking you kind of the same questions. But number 6, there's no part B, but there's a C, D, and E. And to be careful with those questions, they're asking you a little bit something different. They want you to think a little bit more in depth about reading that graph that you have graphed. And remember, when you're doing these, to not use Desmos to graph these. We need to be able to graph them and interpret them by hand to be prepared for that EOG and the inactive part of the test.